apologizing ahead of time if there's any issues with the video. If you guys were watching my previous stream, we had some problems out of this unit. I think I got them resolved, but who knows? All right, so check this out. I have a funny story for you, as I often have throughout the week. My reply guys are a source of endless content because, excuse me, they are very stupid people. We used to think, hey, they're not sending their best, and now we pretty much concluded that they are sending their best. It's just the best that they have to offer. Now, you remember my video talking about Miles Morales, whatever the title is, about Hayes, the character people pretend to like. And I did a very important ending kind of statement, like right at the end, discussing kind of the laziness of tokenization, yada, yada. I took that clip, we posted it on Twitter, what have you. So this person, who is a reply guy, again, he's been in my mentions since the launch of the Riververse, and he's done nothing but talk down. And this is a very funny one. So he responds to that by talking some crap about he thinks that the problem I'm seeing Miles Morales equals Black Peter Parker, and he says that's a false equivalency, yada, yada. I said, as I noted, with actual receipts, he was created to check a box. He says this part right here as he's going on about his rambling. Miles doesn't even originate from the same continuity as Peter. And then he says in parentheses, who is from the comics version of Earth 16 or Earth 616, and Miles is from Earth 1610, which nobody calls the universe with that number for the most part. They say just the ultimate universe. So I'm knowing right off the rip, this guy is not a person that reads these books. Okay, but this is my issue with a lot of these weirdos, that they pretend to. See, it's one thing to be like, hey, man, I don't even read this stuff. I'll tell you straight up, if there's a book character that I'm not really that fond of, or I'm not knowledgeable on their material, so I straight up tell you. But again, he has Miles Morales is this fascination with the character that really only exists outside of the comics. And then you have, unfortunately, people, because they guess they want to justify their statements, they have to feel like they know some stuff about books that they've never read clearly. But he's operating, it's saying, because on his Google search, on his little Wikipedia search, he sees, hey, or the Marvel fandom wiki search, that's what he did. He sees, all right, there's Peter Parker, Earth 616, and there's Miles Morales 1610 or whatever it's at. So he's thinking like, well, Miles Morales isn't from that universe that Peter's from. And he doubles down on this, by the way, and I'll show you. He says, you're the tourist. He does originate, from the same continuity as Peter, as there's a Peter in the Ultimate Universe. You didn't read your fandom Wikipedia or wiki page enough. He was brought in to replace the Peter of his universe. That is a fact. Out of the Ultimate Fallout thing, what is it, issue number 4, where he debuted, which is basically after the death of Spider-Man in his universe. So Spider-Man dies, Peter Parker dies, Marvel brings him to replace him in that universe. He wasn't the first Spider-Man of his own of the Ultimate Universe. Spider-Man, Peter Parker, had already 2 volumes of Ultimate Comics prior to. He had been in the Ultimate Comics a decade prior to the introduction of Miles Morales. This is not my opinion. This is a fact. And then he says, I'm wrong after their response. This is how we know that he's an idiot. He says, wrong again. There's a version of Miles native to 616, but he's a criminal in the league with Kingpin. The Miles we're talking about originates in the Ultimate Universe. So he's telling me I'm wrong. And then because he's more so thinking, well, there's not a Peter in his own universe, right? And that's just not correct. There is a Peter in Ultimate Universe. That's who he specifically replaced. And I called him dumb and all that because that's exactly what he is. He's far too arrogant. And then he tries to backtrack here in a little bit. He's like, well, I was saying that we're talking about the one in the Ultimate Universe. And no, you got it wrong. And that's fine. And just to add to this video as an example, he's still stepping in and going out of his way to talk about things upon which he does not know about, like this one. I referred to in a previous post because someone, which probably is a casual, no harm there, he's like, wait a minute, because he saw me post about how even the stealth sort of camouflage thing that Miles does isn't really original. We've seen other spider folk do it, including Peter. And this was Peter's suit. And he was like, hey, does Miles have anything original? I said, not really. Like, as I say right here, his differences are superficial. There's nothing of his defining traits that we didn't see from a version of Peter Parker, mostly the Ultimate Universe one, or his copies, or the Spider-Folk. Even his added powers, Spider-Woman did the Venom Blast and Peter went invisible. So I was talking about that, and he's like, do you not know what Miles' powers are? Because he certainly doesn't have Venom Blast. Like, dude, why are you doing this to yourself? These people are so weird. They're contrarians is what they are. So it's like anything they can say to try to discredit or delegitimize myself, because that's where they need to be. They'll say anything, even if it means contradicting themselves, a previous point, or just flat out being incorrect. He says, did you even watch the Spider-Verse, which is irrelevant anyway? I have, but that's not even important. And then he goes on, he says it's electricity, not venom. Like, you idiot, that's what they refer to his bioelectricity. And Spider-Woman, they talk about it being a venom blast, venom strikes. What are you talking about? But he didn't know that, of course, because everything that he's getting is probably from the front page of a wiki of the character. He has no idea what he's talking about. And he went out of his way to make himself look like a jackass. I promise you guys, you might not like my positions. It is what it is. But you do not have to go out of your way to make yourself look like boneheads. You don't have to do it. My thing, man, with these sort of weirdos that insist that they are such fans of this work. You like the idea of the character, and that's fine. A lot of people that like, let's say, characters, they are only knowledgeable about them in, let's say, animation or live action. So you have certain characters that are like Spider-Man, not Miles, but Spider-Man is a part of the kind of fabric of America. So people that have never read books know who Spider-Man is. People that have never read a Batman book know who Batman is. People that have never read a Superman book know who Superman is, because they're part of the culture. And that's fine. But where these weirdos get off is that, well, they like the idea, right? Black Spider-Man swinging around. So they want to justify in the age of social media that they are at least somewhat knowledgeable on this, because they want to more so justify their liking to the character. Or, which I think maybe is what happens far more, is that you have those of us who are knowledgeable on the character that aren't fond of them, and I guess that gets in the way for some reason of them actually liking a character. So they look at us as enemies, and they are spiteful, and so they're angry. And so they look at it like, I have to justify this. So I'm going to do my surface level research. Actually, it's not even that. And where they often mess up is like what we got here. And that's a person that had no idea what they were talking about, to someone that knew exactly what it is they're talking about. You can say I'm a lot of things. You can disagree with me. You can not like the fact that I'm saying something. But a lot of what I lead with, definitely with this character, are factual statements, because I've read the books. I own them. I have owned them. I've read them. I've covered them on this channel. It's just the facts of the facts. Being mad at me or being irate or being angry ain't going to change nothing of that. Let me say that. Wherever you're viewing the content, I appreciate you. If you enjoyed it, you may be interested in my comic book company, Rippaverse Comics. Our first book and campaign, ISOM #1, brought in $3.7 million with tens of thousands of satisfied customers. Visit Rippaverse.com to check out our store and stay up to date with the latest campaigns from one of the hottest new comic book companies. Also, my first big step towards a parallel economy was the development of my personal website, ericdjuly.com. This entirely replaced my Patreon. Now, if you enjoy this content, please consider becoming a member over at the website. We have an ever-expanding list of perks for various membership tiers, a forum, and a phone app. Some of these perks will even benefit you if you're fans of the Rippaverse. Anyway, I appreciate you so much for being a supporter and or customer. I even got a little love for my haters.